I'm sorry. I have to get a picture. The guys at my group text are going to love this. Everyone can just smile. Hold on. Everyone has to smile. Cheese. There we go. Okay. I must admit, when I first started preparing to come and speak with you all today, despite how it may appear, I was a bit nervous. And I know my public speaking coaches will be upset with me for admitting this. But two things happened that gave me the confidence to stand before you today. The first of which being, I called my mother. And I told her about this amazing opportunity that I had. And the joy that she had in her voice kept repeating in my head over and over and over again until it finally settled in and I realized that there was no possible way that I was going to let her down by not getting up here today. And I'm very, very proud to announce that she is with us in the audience today. Can you wave for her, Mom? There she is. The second thing that happened, as I'm rolling around in my bed one night, having trouble sleeping, as I thought about what I might want to come up here and say, I stood up and I walked to the kitchen to grab a drink when my roommate was already in there. And I went on to explain to him, I said, I'm really nervous. And I told him that I wasn't nervous for the reasons you may think. I was more so nervous because I knew I would be upset with myself if I got up here to speak with you all today and you listened and you left, not having been inspired in even the smallest way. And at that moment, he looked at me and he said, "Why are you tripping, man? There's no need for you to be nervous because everyone in that crowd wants to see you do well, or else why in the world would they be there?" And at that moment, I felt as if a burden had been lifted off of my shoulders. I went back to my room, got my book bag, opened up my laptop, and I began thinking and preparing about what it is that I wanted to talk to you all about today. And I want to believe that what my roommate said is true, and I want to believe that all of you want to see me do well today. But what if I told you that at certain points in my life, there were people that completely counted me out? That there were people that thought that I would accomplish nothing. Let's go back in time a little bit. About a year ago, I'm sitting on my couch in between classes, and I reach for the remote to cut on the TV to watch an episode of Family Guy, when all of a sudden, my phone vibrates in my pocket. Excited, hoping that maybe it was someone that might want to come and hang out in between classes. I pull out my phone, only to be disappointed that it was an old high school teacher of mine. Not really thinking much of it, not wanting to be distracted. I didn't open up the message. I closed my phone. I put it back down. And I continued my afternoon. I went to classes, finished that episode of Family Guy, and I found myself back home for the night, laying in bed, preparing for the next day, when all of a sudden I remembered that message that I had left unread earlier. So I grabbed my phone, I scrolled through, I find it, and I opened it, and it read, "Hey, Darius. Congrats on everything. I'm so proud of you. I knew you proved everyone wrong. And in that moment, I closed the phone, I put it down, and I went to sleep. And I woke up the next morning with this message still resonating in my mind, and I carried it with me the rest of that morning, the rest of that day, the rest of that week. And I knew with all of my heart that old teacher just wanted to share with me her joy. She had every intention to just congratulate me for everything that she had seen and she had heard. Very valiant. But what I couldn't quite wrap my mind around was, who thought that I wasn't going to make it? Who did I have to prove wrong? But I would be standing up here a fool to tell you all that in my life, I hadn't given people ample reason to count me out. Let's go back a little bit more in time. I'm riding high off the wave from freshman year. And in a way, me and my friends, we were untouchable. Hitting on girls, sneaking in the bars, running late to classes, that was the absolute norm for us. And I'm not going to lie to you, there wasn't much that people could really say. Yeah, every so often we would have to run a few sprints in practice or do some community service hours for throwing water balloons in the dorms, but there wasn't really much that anyone could do. And I continued this way of thinking until one day in mid-October, sophomore year, as I lay in my bed trying to get a few hours of sleep before 6 a.m. practice, I'm awoken to a loud noise on my door. Boom, boom, boom. I hop up, not knowing what's going on. I hear it again. Boom, boom, boom. This time it's followed with police. Open up. I'm frantic. Of course, I'm thinking the worst, looking around, until I realized I hadn't done anything wrong. I had just been asleep in my bed. So I take my time, putting my clothes on, made them wait, of course, cut the light on. Not thinking much of it, I opened the door, and a foot came in so that I couldn't shut it anymore. And as I looked up, there were 4 police officers standing outside of my door. And at that moment, they asked me the question that I don't think many a student at a liberal arts college would want to hear. Where is the weed, son? And you can imagine they found it. And as much as I tried to play it off to myself and my mother that it was no big deal and that everything would be okay, I was soon notified by the university that I would be getting suspended for the following semester and the one after. I had been suspended for 1 year. Talk about a Christmas present. Let's go back a little bit more in time. I'm 9 years old. I'm excited. My birthday had just passed the week before. The school day is over. And I'm running down the steps. And as usual, my dad is sitting there waiting on me to take me to football practice. Now, I must mention at this time that my dad was also my football coach. So as you can imagine, as we're going to practice every day, he's sitting talking to me, telling me things that I need to improve on, things that we'll be doing in the practice that day. But for some reason, this day was a little bit different. For some reason, he just decided that he wanted to be extra hard on me this day. Darius, you're doing this slow. Darius, you're doing this wrong. Darius this. Darius that. I was fed up by the end of practice. So much so that when we're in the car and he's taking me back to my mother's house for the night, he's still talking. He knows I'm not listening. It's going in one ear and out the other. And as we pull into the driveway and my mother is waiting on the steps for me to come inside, I open the door of the car. I look back towards him, and with full conviction in my heart, I look him in his eyes and I say to him, I hate you. I shut the door behind me. I walk in the house, past my mother, and I can see that I'm visibly upset, and she starts yelling at him, "What did you do to that boy?" Small victory at the time. And my night continued until, for some reason, I felt something overwhelm me in a sense, so much so that I went to my mother's room and I told her everything that had happened. I told her what he had said and done to me, and I also told her what I had said to him. And she suggested that I maybe give him a call. Ring, 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 ring. Hello, you've reached the voicemail of Darius Baxter. Please leave a message after the tone, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And I left a message, and in it I said, Daddy, I want you to know that I know you care about me. And I know you're only hard on me because you want to see the best of me. But more importantly than anything, I want you to know that I love you. My dad never got that message. He actually he didn't get any messages after that night. As I sat in class the next day, I was called to the principal's office. And as I entered the door, my mother was sitting there on the left crying, and I'm thinking to myself immediately, what did I do now? But I hadn't done anything. I was being told that my father had been shot and killed in his own home the night before. Talking about all this, it reminds me, it's weird, it reminds me of an experiment that I did once when I was about in the first grade. And I'm sure we've all done this ourselves or seen someone that has done it. In what light will a plant grow the fastest? Have a couple of us seen or done this ourselves? We know, we got a couple people out there. But I wanted to do mine a little bit differently. Instead of just putting one potting plant in a windowsill to see if it would grow, another one under a lamp, in my first grade mind, I wanted to see if a plant could grow in complete darkness. So I did. I put one in the windowsill, put one under a lamp, and I put one in an old shoebox that I had. And as expected, the one in the windowsill shot up. The one under the lamp shot up. And you guessed it, the one in the shoebox, nothing. And these procedures went on. I'm tracking the results. And I knew what to expect from them after a certain point. And going through my routine, one day I'm going to the one in the shoebox to give it a little bit of water, expecting nothing. And as I lifted the lid, a small sprout had grown. Now, it wasn't anything special at the time. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't that big, but it was something. And I'm excited at this point. I'm thinking, I've created a miracle. A plant is growing in darkness. So every day I'm lifting the lid, putting more water on it, making sure everything is okay. And it kept growing, getting a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. in complete darkness, a plant had managed to grow. Or what I thought to be complete darkness. What I hadn't realized when I put this pot in this old shoebox, that there was a tiny hole in the side of it. I hadn't realized it, but the flower did. And in a way, as it got bigger, I could tell that it seemed as if it was sort of crawling along the soil towards this small hole in the side of the shoebox. Unlike plants, as humans, we have the ability to choose, to make choices. And if anyone can stand before you and say that those choices can either end up with you suspended from school or standing on a stage in front of all of these beautiful faces, I can. But the crazy thing about life is that it's not about what happens to us, but it's about how we react to those things when they occur. It's whether or not we have the guts to, when it seems like there is no light, to grab that little bit of turf in front of us and to, when we're face down, to sit, grab it, and pull and pull and pull until we have the strength to stand. Until we have the strength to walk. Until we have the strength to lace up our shoes and run. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you all that there won't be times where you'll be hurting. There won't be times where you may slip and fall. And there won't be times where you may want to sit in a corner and cry, because I sure as have had all those times. But what separates the greats, those who can occupy the stage, from those who settle for mediocrity, is that when faced with those challenges, if you have guts to stand up. 1 year ago today, fresh off suspension, not knowing where my life would take me, I stood in this exact spot. And I looked out into this audience, into the empty seats, and I took this picture. And on that day, I made a decision. I made the decision that I didn't care what hand I was dealt. The only thing that mattered to me was where I saw myself going. On that day, I stood up and I decided that I wanted to run. I stand before you a testament that even though every day might not be as bright as the last, and the sun might not shine how you want it to, and there might be rainy days, that is not about any of that. I stand before you beautiful, not solely defined by my beauty, but rather how I have managed to remain beautiful while dealing with life's experiences. All of you are that rose shooting out through the concrete, as am I. Now, don't we all deserve to stand in our full bloom? Thank you.